Homelessness 2.0, day 17. I love how my short video yesterday still ended up being 7 minutes long. That's me when I get to talking. So it's about 11 o'clock, I think, right now. I literally just checked the clock, probably not 30 seconds ago. Yeah. And I'm trying to get out of here in a little bit. Just finished my coffee. Well, I didn't finish it, but I'm getting to the point where I need to finish it. Showing you my shoulder again. And I'm going to head over to the DMV. I'm going to try. But before I go over there, I'm going to try the whole, online process just one more time, just to see if, maybe there was some sort of issue that, maybe it was a maintenance issue, or if it was just a timing issue on my part, something. Before I do that, so at least I can kind of try to cover my bases in that regard before I head over there, and then I've got to head over to the mailbox and see if there's anything there that I need to pick up, and then I need to go to the storage unit for a couple of things. I forgot exactly what it was. Oh, the reason I need to go to the storage unit is because for the first time in my entire life, and I'm not even, there's no hyperbole in this. Now granted, the caveat is coming. I have finally cracked a phone screen. Now, it's not the actual phone screen, it's the tempered glass protector, which is the whole point of those things. It's like those things exist so that you don't actually crack the real phone screen. And the reason I got to go to the storage unit is because that's where the spare one is. I've never actually cracked a screen before. I've never even cracked the tempered ones or the protectors or anything. So, I've always had these spares and I've never needed them. But, like a condom and a gun, in certain circumstances, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, which I got from Alien vs. Predator. That's where I first heard it from anyway. So, yes, it is yet another, it's a phone condom, basically. I mean, there's a reason why you spend the extra, 15 to 30 bucks, depending, getting, a reasonable, but, you don't have to get a crazy over expensive OtterBox or something like that, unless you're in a situation where that is warranted. Like when I was homeless, it was better to have an OtterBox for my phone because I was outside all the time, and, being outside and using your phone on a regular basis like that, that made sense. But now that I'm living in a more civilized disposition, I guess, I don't need it as much. But also hardwood floors, baby. I can't recall, I've dropped my phone on concrete before, not with just this phone, but other phones. But when you drop something often enough, there's a point where it's probably gonna break. And it's only got one little tiny fracture, and I keep thinking it is an eyelash because that's what it is. With regards to how it looks. It looks just like a little eyelash, and I keep trying to blow it off, and I'm like, oh, stupid crack. So I go to the storage for that. So my day's going to be pretty busy, it seems. Finally decided to have some coffee, and even though I didn't really sleep well, I think I got to bed around 3. Well, I went to bed right after I finished The Return of the King, but again, that movie is 4 hours long. It's the extended cut too. I'm not going to watch anything else. And so because of that, I think it finished at around 1 or so, maybe 1:30, and then, I'm winding down and blah, 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 and getting ready for bed. And I was in bed around 2 o'clock. And then, I turn it on and let stuff play in the background while I try to drift off to sleep. But since I've been waking up for the most part on my own naturally for the last 2 weeks, nearly 3 now, shit. 2.5. It's kind of a suck mode to have to wake up on a timer. And I still don't know what kind of jobs I want to even look for. I really don't want, I mean, I've never wanted to work. Let's get into something. So, I don't know if you or anybody else has seen this, but there is a current online movement, and it's obviously, a relative minority, but it is seemingly picking up enough steam. Obviously, there is selection bias in it, and that we're only looking at the stuff and we're only seeing the things that are, equitable to the anti-work movement. And anti-work is the name of the subreddit for this movement. And it's growing rather rapidly. And it's growing rapidly enough that even Goldman Sachs, I think it was Goldman Sachs, were like, hey, this might actually be a problem. And they were even talking about the anti-work subreddit. And they were also talking about how influential it might be, especially because of how influential Wall Street Bets, the subreddit, was earlier this year with regards to GameStop and AMC stocks, and how the market manipulation and everything came from that, and then all the various controversies that came from it. And I was never a part of the Wall Street Bets audience. I was kind of watching from the distance. But the anti-work thing is something that not only do I resonate with, but resonates with a lot of people. The sheer fact that John Oliver just put out a union busting video, the fact that that union busting video dealt with much of the union busting that had happened this year, the fact that people right now are trying to, work on unions, the fact that right now Starbucks, and this was even mentioned in the piece, is trying to do union busting in Buffalo, New York, which incidentally is a place where I'm heavily considering moving to. Working in this country sucks. Workers have very few rights. What little rights we do have, it is very, very hard to try and get what you deserve if you have been slighted, whether it's just wrongful termination of some kind, whether it's wage theft, doesn't matter what it is. Even sexual harassment cases almost never get taken care of unless it's like absolutely blatant and it's affected a ton of people. And I mean, one of the reasons why sexual harassment, sexual assault of any kind, especially, whether it's through, a random event, which is totally unlikely, it's the real sexual harassment and sexual assault circumstances are when people the victims usually know their assailants beforehand. And, that's why there was so much weight on Kavanaugh before he was actually, he successfully was appointed into the SCOTUS seat. There's so much that goes on in the mind of the victim of sexual assault that why would you think they think it's their fault? Because it happened to them. And then there are people out there who will say, well, you let it happen. And not to dilute or diminish that type of experience, but that is a lot of what happens in the workforce. We are often victims of this oppressive system, and then we are made to feel guilty about it. I could see those two things influencing one another, to be honest, especially the whole victimization ideology, and how when you do something at work as a worker, as an employee, you are somehow harming the employer. And then you see these screen grabs of these conversations that people have with their bosses, especially the ones where right before they quit. And it's like, you're not being a team player. You're doing all the wrong things. They never have this self-reflection of, hey, let's have a conversation about this. I think we need to actually discuss this because blah, blah, blah. There's almost no attempt at a discussion or meeting in the middle until the person says, nah, man, I'm out. And then they're like, don't be rash. Don't rush to the car, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, there's a reason why this is happening. There's a reason why like social media is in so many ways good and bad. It obviously puts you into your echo chambers, and in those echo chambers, it's really difficult to see the real world around it. If you are aware of that, at least, it makes it less influential, but it's still very influential. It can totally color your vision of the world. And if that's all you do all day, well, then that's all you're going to see all day. And so, obviously, me being in the position that I am, I have some money saved up. And while this place is not cheap, it is cheaper than a hotel. And, the reasoning why I am going to the DMV today is because getting a car will make much of my life easier and in some ways more expensive because cars are not cheap to maintain. But it will also, despite my misgivings and despite the fact that I prefer it not to be this way, it will still provide me a kind of freedom that I haven't had. We shouldn't need cars to have personal freedom. But perhaps it's a good idea to get the kinds of personal freedom you can get in a system that often tries to reduce personal freedom. And we in this country, in the United States, are regularly bereft of personal freedoms compared to many other countries that are, I have an issue with this too, developed countries, as many people will say. This is just third world, first world, second world BS, weird propagandizing. And, it's like, what really makes a world developed? I mean, the whole damn place, what is a developed country versus an undeveloped country? Every damn country I know of has major cities. Like, if you look at the capital of a country, what makes it undeveloped? If you look at the least developed country that you can think of, if you actually looked at it, if you actually saw it for what it was, what would be the difference between your country and that country? It would probably be really small. You could say a lot of America is undeveloped because literally it is. Like, we have massive regions of our country that are undeveloped because they are rural and there is far more nature than there are people. And then you could say that people are part of nature and blah, blah, blah. And that becomes part of this philosophical thing. And this video has definitely gone on a lot longer than I thought it would. But hey, tangents and diatribes, that's like two of my MOs, man. And I post these videos, I post links to these videos to my LinkedIn because I want the people that I'm like associated with in real life in some way to understand what I'm going through right now. It's the only real social media network that I know of that is effectively an alternative to Facebook without it being Facebook. And of course, it still has its algorithm and it still does the bullshit that Facebook does. It's just more work-centric. And right now, being homeless, being unemployed, being this person who's like, I've never wanted to work a fucking day in my life because this entire system has been wrong at least all of my life, I feel that it's a good place to post. And no, it doesn't get any traction, but it doesn't matter to me. It kind of does. But in the sense that the people that will see it, and the people who won't. And if anybody says, hey, check this out, cool. I could say, like and subscribe and share that and hit the bell and all that crap. And apparently those things really do make changes. I don't know, but I kind of don't care and I don't think about those things. So I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm going to get back online and I'm going to see if I can make another online appointment if possible. If not, then I will just head to the DMV and hope for results. Yeah. Have fun with that.